Meanwhile, the Ministry of Finance has denied spending an amount of $176.49 million from the country's Petroleum Stabilization Fund, as been alleged by the minority in Parliament. A statement signed by a Deputy Finance Minister, Kassalatu Forson, said the ministry wishes to reiterate that government had not used the said money, which represent the excess over the cap on the Stabilization Fund as at end March of 2014 to close its financing gap. The Deputy Finance Minister pointed out that the MPP was basically repeating what the Africa Center for Energy Policy, a think tank, accused government of last week, which it responded to adequately. The ministry on Monday accused government of illegally withdrawing the minority on Monday accused government of illegally withdrawing huge sums of money from the Petroleum Stabilization Fund. The Institute of Economic Affairs is also asking government to hold on with the upcoming referendum on proposed amendments to the 1992 Constitution until the electorate thoroughly understand what they are being asked to vote on. According to the IEA's advisory committee set up to review the winner-takes-all practice in governance, the amendment should reflect the desires of the people and should not serve as any imposition. The Cape Coast Polytechnic has closed down, and the closure is in compliance with the Polytechnic Act, which says a school will be closed down after 21 days of continuous strike. The decision for the shutdown was taken after an emergency board meeting of the school on Friday. The Polytechnic Teachers Association of Ghana, POTAC, embarked on a nationwide strike to protest unpaid book and research allowances. The Cape Coast branch of POTAC began their strike 4 weeks ago and so has exceeded the limit. Meanwhile, final year students of the school have been told to go home and return at the beginning of the next academic year to write their final examinations. Continuing students have meanwhile been asked to proceed on attachment. So again, we bring you that very story, which says that the Institute of Economic Affairs is also asking government to hold on with the upcoming referendum on proposed amendments to the 1992 Constitution until the electorate thoroughly understand what they are being asked to vote on.
The Constitution Review Implementation Committee, having held series of deliberations on the proposed amendment, is set to table the bill before Parliament, after which it will be presented for adoption or otherwise at a referendum this year. The 11-member committee, instituted by the IEA, however, believes not much work has been done to educate the citizenry.
Government should slow down the pace of the current stage of the Constitution review process to enable more public discussion, consultation, education, and sensitization on the contents of the government white paper. The committee is of the view that public and civil society consultations, awareness and vigilance in the review of the Constitution remain crucial to mitigate the growing potential threats of political agitation and social disintegration that the current system seems to be engendering.
The committee also observed the Constitutional Review Commission's report did not contain any proposal on how to do away with the winner-takes-all system, which it believes has been the bane of Ghana's democracy.
The committee, for instance, notes that although many Ghanaians have called for a rethink of the winner-takes-all syndrome, the Constitution Review Implementation Committee seems to have virtually completed its task without any indication that this issue is being addressed.
The advisory committee intends to conduct a 3-month nationwide public consultation program with various identifiable groups beginning June. It is therefore appealing to government to suspend the referendum until the process is completed and relevant recommendations are integrated into the amendment.
And that's it for the news. And before we continue our regular programming on the AM show, a recap of our top stories. Well, the rating agency Fitch, which has a negative outlook on Ghana's B rating, expects the budget deficit to exceed 10% of gross domestic product for a third consecutive year, in line with focus by Moody's Investors Service. And the Cape Coast Polytechnic, they've closed down due to action by Polytechnic Teachers Association of Ghana. Well, that's it for the news. Next, we'll bring you the latest sports update. Do stay on.
A very good morning to you wherever you are. This is AM Sports with me, Benedict Owusu. The AM Sports, as always, is proudly brought to you by Cowbell Milk. Well, I'm sure you're waiting to hear what happened yesterday, and that's precisely what I'm here to do. Just to tell you what happened in that game involving the Black Stars of Ghana and South Korea last night. You know, Ghana, that was our last pre-friendly game ahead of the World Cup. And God being so good, the Black Stars recorded a massive win and a massive boost for the team ahead of the World Cup. You know, Jordan Ayew got a hat-trick and Asamoah Gyan got the other goal. So the result after the game was Ghana 4, South Korea 0, and that happens to be the very first win for Coach Kwesi Appiah. There's been this issue about Kwesi Appiah not being able to beat any European team or any team outside Africa. Yesterday he did that, and Ghana defeated South Korea by 4-0. Goals coming from Dede Ayew, Jordan Ayew, I beg your pardon, and Asamoah Gyan.
Ghana took on South Korea at the Sun Life Stadium in Miami in their final warm-up game before they head to Brazil. Forward Abdul Majid Waris left the game in the 4th minute with a left leg injury and was replaced by Jordan Ayew. The Marseille striker soon made his presence felt. His shot deflected off defender Ki Sung Yang and found the back of the net for the opening goal in the 11th minute. Asamoah Gyan doubled the Black Stars' lead shortly before half-time. Ayew then dominated matters in the second half. He claimed his second goal in the 53rd minute before sealing his hat-trick at the death as Ghana completed an emphatic 4-0 victory, the perfect boost ahead of their opening World Cup fixture against the USA on Monday.
So major boost for Ghana ahead of the World Cup, beating South Korea by 4-0. Goals coming from Jordan Ayew, 3 goals, and Asamoah Gyan getting the other goal. Let's still stay with some World Cup related issues, and this time to the electricity company of Ghana, and they says it cannot guarantee that there will be no outages for the duration of the FIFA World Cup, which begins next week. There have been reports government is making some interventions to the current situation. The power rationing program is either minimized or suspended so Ghanaians can enjoy the Mundial. Though ECG says there are efforts to discriminate power in favor of residential users, Managing Director William Houghton Mensah, the electricity supply situation can improve significantly if customers will adopt energy conservation practices.
We are using this medium to appeal to our customers and the general public that during the World Cup matches, let's switch off all high-consuming appliances such as deep freezers, air conditioners, and fridges. I want to believe that for the period of the matches, if we're able to do this exercise, we believe most of us will have electricity to watch the matches.
So we're still with World Cup related issues, and this time to Andre Ayew, who played very well yesterday, and he has reckoned the quality and mentality at Kwesi Appiah's disposal, offers Ghana an opportunity to qualify from the group phase of the World Cup. 4 years ago in South Africa, Germany and the United States were the opponents in Ghana's group, and one of 16 as the Black Stars went out on penalties in the quarterfinals to Uruguay. This time around in the finals at Brazil, Ghana are paired in Group G with 3-time champions Portugal, Germany and USA. It's a challenge the 24-year-old accepts and says they will be up to the task. And I quote him, "I think it's a great opportunity to be at the World Cup, and though we are in a tough group, just make it more exciting to play in the tournament." And Dede, remember, will be making his 2nd World Cup appearance. So Dede, are you there talking about Ghana's expectations at the World Cup? And remember, the World Cup kicks off in exactly 2 days' time. That's on Thursday. We'll have the opening game involving host Brazil and Croatia. So we stay with more World Cup related issues, and making the cut into any Ghana team for a major tournament certainly leaves players thrilled as Jordan Ayew relishes the chance to play at the World Cup. 4 years ago in South Africa, Jordan had to watch the Black Stars, which included his two brothers of his, that's Rahim and Dede Ayew. Rahim was an unused substitute, and Dede featured, and he played very, very well on TV as Ghana reached the knockout stages but lost to Uruguay on penalties in the quarterfinal. The 22-year-old attacker has this time made the team in Brazil for the first time, and he's going to play his first ever World Cup, and is particularly pleased that he will share the experience with his older brother and Marseille teammate Andre Ayew. So Jordan Ayew has every right to say whatever he's saying, because yesterday he got a goal in for Ghana, and we hope that he can go to Brazil and do the same. Well, we now turn our attention to Ghana's opponent in Group G, that's the US, and they've landed in Sao Paulo. That was Monday yesterday on a commercial flight from Miami, and arrived at their downtown hotel on a bus with an American flag and slogan "United by Team, Driven by Passion." A helicopter hovered overhead, 4 soldiers in fatigues, about 24 police in riot gear, and what appeared to be several plainclothes security stood outside the hotel, and which is adjacent to a park on tree-lined street. The Americans will train at nearby Sao Paulo FC until Friday. They then fly 150 miles north to Natal for their opener on Monday against Ghana, the team that eliminated them from the last 2 World Cups. An initial training session in Brazil was scheduled for late afternoon, that was yesterday afternoon. So appearing in their 7th straight World Cup, the Americans also play Portugal and Germany in that group. I'm sure you heard the story about Cameroon, you know, the players refusing to travel to Brazil over some bonus issues there, and now that issue has finally been resolved, and Cameroon have arrived in Brazil for World Cup action on Monday after disputes, as I stated earlier, on bonus routes between the players and the Cameroonian FA. Now the issue has been settled, and the Cameroonians have made their way to Brazil. So the likes of Samuel Eto'o, the big boys have all made their way to Brazil, and they will participate in the World Cup. So we stay with World Cup issues, and this time to the camp of England and Steven Gerrard, that's the captain of the side. You know, yesterday he trained with the team but picked up a minor injury, but now we understand he's recovering. It was a big blow for them. As always, England going into the tournament, they've been sweating over the fitness of some players like Oxlade-Chamberlain and Raheem Sterling, and now Steven Gerrard adding up to the injury list. But Roy Hodgson hopes that Steven Gerrard will recover before their first game against Uruguay. So the Black Stars definitely making our day last night. I watched the game and I really enjoyed it. I hope they replicate the same performance in Brazil. So the team will be leaving for Brazil on Wednesday, and their first game, remember, is against the United States of America on Monday. That's it for sports from me, Benedict Owusu. As always, the sports segment on the AM show is proudly brought